might lead to conflict between the two sides. Jackie Heinrich explains from Beijing.
Behind closed doors, they obviously tackled some thornier issues. Readout indicates that President Trump did not budge on the Taiwan issue, and China really had some thoughts about that. We knew that Xi was going to probably dangle that issue to try to extract something from the U.S. in exchange for cooperation on Iran. The Chinese readout of the meeting warns that Taiwan is the most important issue for U.S.-China relations, and, quote, if it is handled properly, the bilateral relationship will enjoy overall stability. Otherwise, the two countries will have clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. Taiwan independence and cross-strait peace are as irreconcilable as fire and water.
Alex Murdaugh, the disgraced South Carolina lawyer previously convicted of killing his wife and son, is getting another chance in court after the South Carolina Supreme Court tossed his murder convictions over jury tampering. The court ruled that misconduct by a court official tainted the 2023 trial that sent Murdaugh to prison for life, claiming that clerk Becky Hill wanted a guilty verdict to sell more copies of a book that she planned to write about the case. Attorney for Alex Murdaugh, Dick Harpulitan, says Hill was a liar, and the state Supreme Court got it right.
She was lying about lobbying the jury to convict Alex Murdaugh. No question about it. Jurors said it. Her staff said it. And she thought that would help her sell a book if he was found guilty. She told people that.
Murdaugh won't be getting out of jail anytime soon, though. He's serving a 40-year sentence for financial crimes. Officials in Chicago say hundreds of criminals released on electronic monitoring are currently missing. Mike Tobin reports from Chicago.
It works out to 8% of the people on electronic monitoring in the pretrial program in Cook County and Chicago who are unaccounted for. Even the state's attorney says we should all be deeply concerned. 3,048 people were released pretrial on electronic monitoring. Almost 20% of them are charged with violent crimes. The system alerts on a low battery or curfew violation. After 48 hours, a judge can be notified, and that judge can issue an arrest warrant. But there are thousands of warrants in the system. Without an alert on a specific individual, they get lost in the pile. But the Cook County chief judge did tell a local reporter yesterday that law enforcement is actively searching for the people who are at large.
A country is getting a capitalist makeover, and the name may surprise you. Chris Woodward has more.
Sweden and its population of 11 million has embraced capitalism. According to the Wall Street Journal, nearly half of primary health care clinics are privately owned, and many of them by private equity firms. Meanwhile, 1 in 3 public high schools is privately run, up from 20% in 2011, and the size of government has shrunk. One person not surprised by this is David Burton, Senior Research Fellow at Advancing American Freedom.
It's also true in Denmark and Norway. They still have generally higher taxes, but in many respects they're more free than the United States.
Other think tanks have seen the progress in Sweden. The Heritage Foundation Index of Economic Freedom ranks Sweden better than the U.S. overall. The Fraser Institute, which is a Canadian think tank, ranks the U.S. better, but Sweden's still among the freest countries in the world.
They do have higher taxes, which is probably their most economically counterproductive factor. But in terms of permitting and labor and employment laws and a lot of other things, they're better than the United States now.
I'm Chris Woodward.
And shoppers pulled back on spending in April as higher gas prices fueled by the Iran war meant less money left over for some non-essentials like clothing and furniture. Retail sales rose 0.5% in April, a slowdown from the revised growth level of 1.6% in March. Excluding gas sales, retail sales in April were up 0.3%. More news online at afn.net. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello, I'm Steve Crampton, Assistant General Counsel for the American Family Association. The mission of AFA is to inform, equip, and activate individuals to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and give aid to the church, here and abroad, in its task of fulfilling the Great Commission. Our vision is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training in the interest of cultural transformation.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today is Thursday, May the 14th, 2026. Again, as always, we thank you for listening to AFR. And joining me in studio is Wesley Wildmon. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
Good morning, Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you, Tim.
And Chris Woodward.
Hello.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's the spirit, Chris. We're off to a good start here. Our news anchors excited to be here.
Just you wait.
That's it.
Let's see. Ray's out today. He traveling? Do you know? Where's Ray Pritchard? We keeping up with him?
I don't know where he is, but he is traveling.
He preemptively pardoned himself.
He did, like
we've been seeing over the last couple of years from the.
And he's out next week too.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We need a doctor's excuse.
I'll inform him.
You inform him because Brother Ray is much missed.
He's out, and I'm usually not in on Thursdays, but I'm trying to help a brother out. So.
Yep. Filling in for Brother Ray.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody, and we got a lot to talk about today. At the bottom of the hour, Dr. Walter Wendler, president of West Texas A&M University, will be joining us, and we will talk to him. What's the first story you got there, Chris?
Well, it's Independence Day of sorts in the nation of Israel, and I say that because on this day in 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the independence of the state of Israel in Tel Aviv. The airport there is named after him, as a matter of fact, along with some other parts of Israel. So a monumental moment. I heard our John Riley, talking about this earlier today with JJ. Just a huge event, and one that many people point to as prophecy being fulfilled.
This day in what year?
1948.
1948. So we're, Fred?
78.
78 years in.
Mm-hmm. It is. And if you go to Israel, many tours, they stop at the Tel Aviv Museum, the museum there in Tel Aviv, where you will hear some of the audio from that day from David Ben-Gurion on May 14th, 1948. It's kind of one of the highlights. What a lot of people forget, they focus, and rightly so, on May 14th, but what happened on May 15th? The armies from Egypt and Transjordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded Israel, leading to
There wasn't much to invade.
No, but
honestly,
they did.
But they did, yeah.
But they did. And it resulted in Israeli control of more territory than they were initially allocated in that declaration. So yeah, it's a big day there. You know, it's been interesting watching, and for those who haven't been to Israel, they may have impressions of Israel as being everything looks old, and you do see a lot of old things there. Don't get me wrong. But Trey Yangst is one of the correspondents for Fox, and he's been reporting on the war there over the last several months. But he's reporting from a balcony that overlooks Tel Aviv, and that image of Israel with old buildings, but you look at downtown Tel Aviv, it looks like New York City.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It is amazing what God has done in that little country. It's absolutely fantastic. Medical research, advancements in technology like you would not believe. So God has blessed that tiny little nation, despite all its, I remember Netanyahu talking about, you know, if they have Hamas kind of to their west, and Hezbollah living in Lebanon, and Syria to the east. I remember Netanyahu saying not too long ago, we live in a rough neighborhood. And that's probably the understatement of of all time. But keep your prayers up for Israel. God will continue to protect her.
It is a mix, Israel is, of the ancient with the modern.
Yes.
As you say, Fred, Jerusalem is ancient. You know, goes thousands of years back. Jerusalem mentioned in the scriptures. And so you can go there and see the sites that you read about in the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament. But if you fly into Tel Aviv, which is about an hour from Jerusalem, on the coast of the Mediterranean, as you say, it's a very modern city, and with a first-rate airport. And the thing about it is, very prosperous.
Yes, it is.
They know how to do business in Israel, and so that's so we marked the birthday. Today is their July 4th, right?
May 14th.
May 14th. So they remember their.
You know, you talk about the contrast too. I remember my first trip there, Tel Aviv, modern city, Jerusalem. Everybody, you know, it's just fantastic. But we got out in the country a little bit, and I found it fascinating. I saw a man leading a group of sheep. I thought he wasn't pretending. This wasn't part of a show. They still tend to sheep in the hills. It's and
the Bedouins
and the Bedouins.
The Bedouins, which are nomads, and they travel around.
Yeah,
you know, they live very primitively. You might see go out to the hillside on the Judean hills and see these folks that live like like hundreds of years, and they're shepherds, and then they might have a TV antenna sticking out of their tent.
I know,
tent or something like that. So
yeah.
So anyway, let me ask you this, Fred. I know we putting you on the spot here, but do you believe that the birth of the modern nation of Israel is in fact a fulfillment of Bible prophecy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
And there are some Christian denominations that had kind of dismissed the idea that God was still going to work through Israel at some point, because much of prophecy talks about a country of Israel once again going on. And the book of Revelation certainly has Israel as the dominant nation there. But there were Christian denominations that, because the Jews were spread all over the world, that God had really put aside Israel for good and the Jewish people. But when May 14th, 1948 happened, it was, as you say, Tim, a fulfillment of prophecy. Israel back it is the first time a nation that was decimated came back again as a nation. That has not happened ever before.
Yeah. All right. Well, and the Bible says that we are to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Amen.
So we need to remember to do that. What's your next story?
Well, from Israel to Iran, where yesterday a Chinese supertanker made it through the U.S. blockade there in the Strait of Hormuz. This supertanker has been carrying oil from Iraq, and it got through this area at the same time that President Trump is in China talking with his counterpart Xi Jinping about issues including Iran.
To review, Chris, go over that list of countries again. This sounds like the Olympics.
It does,
Now, who did what to where and when now? Now?
Excuse me. A Chinese supertanker
got
through the Strait of Hormuz.
Got through, so they just dashed.
They I'm sure
got through the gauntlet.
He probably, put the little, I don't even know what you call it, the gear shift on the boat.
Yeah, the gas pedal.
Yeah, they've actually been stuck there for a couple of months.
But I don't think they were avoiding missiles or anything.
Oh, no.
Gunfire. When you say got through, that makes me think that they barely got through before the torpedoes hit.
Yeah,
so
the Jerusalem Post took a more calm approach.
They went right on through unchallenged.
They did. Okay. As a matter of fact, the headline is Chinese supertanker breaks through U.S.-Iran blockade in Hormuz. It's a little more dramatic than it actually is.
So, but now, Fred, I thought that we were imposing a blockade, but was this Chinese tanker coming from another country, not Iran?
It was coming from Iraq, but I think the fact that it made it through unimpeded, politics are involved.
Okay.
President Trump is in Beijing right now.
Right.
And I think there is a desire on the part of the United States, and President Trump has stated this. He's had a discussion today with Xi Jinping, the Chinese president.
When we say Xi, we're talking about a man who's the premier of the president of...
Spelled X-I.
Yeah, X-I.
Yeah, they've had a discussion today, and President Trump, in an interview with Fox at the end of the day over there, said, yes, I talked with Xi about Iran, And she said, any help that we can be to bring this to an end, we will help you. Now, there's some muscle behind that because China is Iran's biggest customer. China gets 50% of its oil from Iran. There are some who believe that she could give the regime in Iran a call and say, back off, put an end to this, your resistance, give at least President Trump some of what he wants so that we can get this open again.
What exactly would it, can you describe what it is happening when they say it is blocked or it's shut down or it's closed, because is that meaning that the Iran military is standing at the coast saying, if you come through, we're going to shoot? Or what's the, what if you're on the other end?
How do they impose this?
Yeah.
How do they?
Well, you have a map on your screen up there. The blockade actually comes out from the Pakistani-Iranian border out here.
That's the U.S. blockade.
The U.S. blockade. So that's where the ships are being stopped. We don't have the U.S. Navy in the Strait of Hormuz. That's not where the blockade is.
Okay.
It's out in the Gulf of Oman.
Yeah, I think Wesley's asking, if I can interrupt here. It's rare for me, but I'll do it this time. Okay, Wesley, we are looking at a map. I know our listeners can't see this. There's two things going on here at one time.
Right.
Okay. We, the United States, are imposing a military naval blockade on any ships that leave Iran going out into the ocean. So
or trying to get in.
Or trying to
get in. So we're stopping commerce.
Yes.
Of all kinds, mainly oil, from leaving any port in Iran or coming into Iran. So we're trying to choke them off.
Yeah.
Without firing weapons. That's the idea, which takes time. The second thing that's going on is Iran here, they say we control the Strait of Hormuz, which I don't know.
That's the part that everything up to that point I understand.
Right.
What I don't understand is how they are controlling, practically how they controlling.
They're telling ships that if they try to come through there, that they will shoot at them. Send their mosquito boats out there, or I guess
some mines. They have mines.
Well, I've not gotten a straight or clear answer on that throughout all of this from any source, and that's the reason I'm trying to understand what's preventing us from going. Okay, we'll try that and just keep going.
I agree. I don't know what we got the mightiest naval force in the world. I don't know why we don't roll in there and just say everybody gets through. And if Iran sends out their little boats, that we blow them out of the water. I don't understand why that doesn't happen either.
Right, and because up until this point, if you take, which is a big point, the Strait of Hormuz, if you take that out of the equation, you were up there. You were about to be batting 100%.
Right.
As far as a completion of a military.
1,000%'s the baseball analogy.
There you go, 1,000%. So now you're going. Now this has cost an extra 4 to 6 weeks in trying to figure this situation out. And I'm just going, at what point do you go, we're going to help you. We're going to help you do this.
Yeah. I don't know. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, and President Trump and others could probably.
Sure.
They know what's going on.
Because at one point early on, they would say, hey, they put mines out there.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, well, they just possibly said that. We're not sure if there are out there.
Yeah.
So anyways.
I don't know.
Well, thank y'all for no answer. I appreciate that.
The answer is I don't know why we don't just say, if you, Iran, cause any ship damage, we will take out wherever that weapon is coming from along the shoreline.
Sure.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, there was so much back and forth a couple of weeks ago that I joked we should brand this the "You Don't Know and I Don't Know Either" segment because of the conflicting information where one news outlet says this, another says that, and then Trump makes two different statements in a 24-hour period. It is odd that we haven't just gone through there and guns blazing to protect boats, given the ferocity that we had.
Very good word.
Thank you. Back in when Operation Epic Fury began in February 28th, I've thought about it as like a boxing analogy. So at the beginning of the fight, you have one guy that's just throwing haymakers and he's just pummeling his opponent, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he stops, and then you have that weird moment in a boxing match where they just keep holding each other.
Yes.
That's what we're doing right now. We quit throwing punches.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
Fred.
I think it had to do with the limitations of the war that Trump could carry out, the 60 days. He was only allowed to go 60 days.
Oh, you mean but without congressional approval?
Well, without congressional approval. And what Trump has been arguing is that, okay, we've stopped fighting.
Yeah.
Therefore,
we have a ceasefire.
We have a ceasefire in effect.
Right.
So we're doing this blockade. We're not really dropping bombs and all that sort of thing, so that he can continue the campaign without it being called a war.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Although he himself is that double unnecessary? Trump has called it a war.
Yes.
All right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio. Back to President Trump's trip to China, though. He is. They are in. There's a couple things going on here. Well, multiple things, more than two. But one is President Trump is meeting with the leader of China, Xi. We keep saying Xi. It's X-I. That's the way you pronounce it. And that's his first name, right? So they're in meetings. They're negotiating politics and international affairs and government-related issues, including Taiwan, by the way. But the second thing that's going on here is there's a lot of business conversations. President Trump took with him, not necessarily all on Air Force One, but they are there in other negotiations and meetings. Some very influential business leaders from the U.S. meeting with their counterparts in China, because, as we mentioned many times before, the United States and China are joined at the hip economically. They make stuff and we buy it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They make stuff and we buy it, and that's what they're talking about. So there's a lot at stake there with these business negotiations and deals that are being struck. While I know Elon Musk got on the plane with Trump in the plane. It's not a normal plane. It's Air Force One in Alaska to go with him, as did Tim Cook from Apple, who's retiring. Apple makes a lot of their iPhones in China, right?
Yep.
So they have, anyway, as I say, a lot of commerce between the United States and China. But when it comes to Taiwan, it's a very sensitive issue. Taiwan is an island off the coast of mainland China. Do you know how long they've been an independent country? Does that go back to World War II or prior to that? Anybody see
What's
when
the question?
When Taiwan became an independent nation, China has always had their sights on what they would call reunification, because Taiwan was at one time China. And Wesley, you've been to both. You've been to Taiwan and to China. But China would like to have Taiwan back as their own. But that would be a war, and the United States has always vowed to. There's some kind of treaty. Ed knows these things. He keeps up with the Boston Bruins and international.
That's right. He does both very well.
He also keeps up with the international treaties.
Taiwan was founded in 1912 on Chinese mainland and moved its seat of government to Taiwan in 1949, losing the Chinese Civil War to the Communist Party. So it seems to me 1949. Does that sound right?
Okay.
That's what I found.
Yep.
1949, Taiwan became an independent country, but Taiwan has always wanted to take it. China's always wanted to take it back, and if they did that, they would have to use their military.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's very important, and it's interesting to see this discussion between Trump and Xi Jinping over Taiwan, because we're telling China, for example, hey, you need to do something to help break this situation with the Strait of Hormuz. Is China then saying, well, you need to let us have Taiwan?
Yeah.
We don't know. I'm not in that room.
Xi didn't go that far today, but he did signal to Trump very clearly, hey, listen, we want to continue to be friends, but if you continue to support Taiwan because there's been a lot of talk of this military equipment that we're about to sell to Taiwan, billions of dollars worth, that's a provocation. And we know that China in recent months have stepped up its activity around Taiwan, we'll call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are doing a lot of saber rattling, the Chinese, with regards to Taiwan right now.
Yeah.
So in today's meetings, at least in the open public meetings, Xi was still very clear, keep your hands off of Taiwan, United States. Whereas Trump was very diplomatic, talked about the great history between China and the United States and what a great guy Xi is. And by the way, you're coming to our country in September for a visit. So Trump openly, in the open sessions, was very diplomatic, whereas Xi used the open session to be very pointed in warning the United States about Taiwan.
Do we have any audio?
We've got all kinds of audio of, number one, Trump had very nice things to say about Xi.
Okay, which is a guy.
Yeah, which is, yes. Here's one example of Trump singing the praises of the Chinese Communist Party leader. Clip one.
Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth.
Why would President Trump, Fred, say that some people don't like me calling him a great leader?
Well, because he's a communist and he's ruthless and they persecute Christians in that country. They have slave labor.
Mm-hmm. So that makes you a bad person?
They spy on us like crazy. I mean, we're over there handshaking and having nice meals with people who are very nasty to us.
Yeah, and they have mayors now apparently acting as agents of foreign governments on behalf of the Chinese.
All right, you got to you do have a. I'm going to cut President Trump a little slack here. You do have to pretend a little bit. Okay, that's part of diplomacy.
Yes.
So you gotta. Now, unless President Trump really believes all that stuff he just said, which I would say to him, I don't know why you're calling this guy a great leader when he oppresses millions of people, like you said, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, you got to you're trying to make friends with somebody that you don't want to be you don't want to necessarily be at least an open adversary, because it could hurt both countries. Trade, number one, trade between the U.S. So we, the United States, are not going to be, at one time we thought, well, we could use our economic might to maybe cause China to have more, become more like the West in terms of their freedoms and human rights and things like that. I don't think that's going to work. I think our political leaders, our presidents, have come to the realization you're not going to change China. China is going to be a communist, and they're going to be a brutal dictatorship. But what do? Do you not trade with them at all because of that reason? And there have been those who've argued that in the past,
Sure.
and I don't know. It's an argument worth having. But the reality is that over the decades, our emphasis on human rights has declined in favor of what kind of economic trade can you give us, China, that will help our economy here in the U.S.
Yep.
So Trump is right there. I hope he doesn't believe everything he said right there. I think he's just trying to pander to make, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be diplomatic. So we'll be back with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Once there were two farmers. One farmer was a devout Christian man. He was honest, fair, always helping anyone who needed help. The other farmer had no use for the way of the Galilean. He cheated, lied, stole from his neighbors. His one sole objective was to make $1. How he made the dollar wasn't important. just that he made it. There was also a local newspaper editor who was a very dedicated Christian man. He made it a point to try to lift up the good news in his paper, to urge people to be fair and honest in all their dealings. Once he wrote an editorial about the virtues of the Christian life. He told his readers how much richer they would be if they followed Christ. The farmer who had no use for Christianity read the editorial. It was the middle of September when the editorial appeared. The farmer cut out the editorial and saved it. Now, both the Christian farmer and the non-Christian farmer had large crops of cotton in the field. Both of them depended upon their cotton crops for the largest portion of their income. So both watched over and cared for their cotton with utmost care. However, when October came to an end and the crops were all gathered, the farmer who had no use for religion had twice as good returns from the same amount of land as did the farmer who treated people fair and honest. Taking the figures from his extra good crop and those from the Christian farmer's very poor crop, the dishonest farmer sent the editorial back to the newspaper editor, along with a letter explaining the stupidity of the editorial. October has ended and the accounts are closed, he wrote. I did far better than my Christian competitor. You and your God are stupid and silly. Well, sometimes it happens that way. The evil prosper while the good suffer. There are many cases on record of just such a situation. It is true that the rain falls on the just and the unjust, and many times it falls on the unjust farmer while it misses the just farmer. The way of the Galilean is no guarantee for financial success. Folks coming into the fold thinking that it is are quickly disappointed. They become angry when they see the unjust prospering and the honest struggling. A man named David, a Hebrew king, once wrote that we should fret not over him who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. We should follow the Galilean not for what we can get from him, but for what we can give to his cause. The editor of the newspaper printed the dishonest farmer's letter. He then closed the article with these words: God doesn't close his accounts in October. Don't think the judge has forgotten the case just because he delays his judgment.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
May the God who gives endurance and encouragement give you the same attitude of mind toward each other that Christ Jesus had, so that with one mind and one voice you may glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Romans 15:5-6.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Welcome back to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim Wildmon here with Wesley, Wildmon, Fred Jackson, and Chris Woodward. Well, a lot of things going on our college and university campuses around the country, and it makes a difference what school your child or grandchild chooses.
And to your point, my kids go to Christian school here in town, and I left there to make it to the show just on time because they were having chapel time where the kids led chapel, and the kids they've been talking about the importance of praying over their parents. So they had an opportunity this morning for the kids to pray over their parents in chapel time led by the kids. All that to say is that I walked away going, I'm so thankful for Christian education.
Right.
They complement a lot of what we do, what we try to teach at home. So
Absolutely. And when your kid graduates from high school, well, they're no longer a kid anymore. They're a young person, and they're headed off to college or university. A lot of now, Not everybody does it. Some people go to work or go to the military or go to trade school, things of that nature. But still, I'm just guessing half the young people who graduate from college, from high school, do go off to college. I'm just pulling that number out of thin air. I don't know, but I'm just guessing. And so it matters where you go. And what about those who leave home with a solid biblical worldview? Their faith is secure, and then they go off and they're just met with hostility against their Christian faith on the college campuses, which happens a lot. Joining us to talk about this topic is Dr. Walter Wendler, who is the president of West Texas A&M University in the Amarillo area. Good morning to you, Dr. Wendler.
Good morning, Tim, and thanks for the opportunity to visit with you this morning.
Right, so you're still president there at West Texas A&M?
Yeah, I still am. Some days I wonder how much longer it's going to last, but I still am.
I just wondered,
and enjoying.
I just wondered when you would be canceled because of your conservative views.
Well, maybe in some places, but not in the Texas Panhandle. By the way, your number, which I happen to know, the percentage of recent high school graduates who immediately enrolled in college, latest data I have is 2024, and it was about 62%.
Okay, so over half.
Which is over half, a good bit. And that's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I assume the numbers are good. They're careful. And I always remind people what you just reminded of them, and I appreciate it. Military service, trade school, family business, start your own family, your own business. There are a lot of alternatives. And when I go out and speak to high school students, usually juniors and seniors, I tell them that. And, I'm a university president, so I lean towards university education as a positive experience for many people, but it's not for everybody. And there's so many good ways to begin a life, have what I call engaged citizenship that don't necessarily require college. And I'm not afraid to say that at all, because it's the truth. It's the common sense truth. And a lot of people go to college, rack up a lot of debt. And when they finish, they say, "Why did I do this?"
Right.
I mean, I'm working at McDonald's, and by the way, that's noble work. There's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's.
Right.
Well, I'll say Chick-fil-A, but the fact of the matter is, you don't need a college degree to do it.
Right.
And you can be successful by being a hard worker and sticking to values that are, known to us as believers. Followers of Christ, we can stick to those values, those important values, and be successful in the world, and not necessarily have a college degree. So,
absolutely.
Anyway,
hey, let me ask you this: you've written a column which we posted on our Today's Issues Facebook page, and it says, "Check your the headline is "Check your faith at the campus gate." Really? Question mark. So, what are you talking about here?
Well, what I'm talking about is, for 50 years or more, some people would say from the progressive movement at the turn of the last century in the early 1900s, have moved towards this idea that you can't be intellectually serious and have strong spiritual convictions like the ones we hold. That Christ is the center of our lives and so on and so forth. And I'll tell you, as I was listening to you guys kind of lead into this, the fact of the matter is even some Christian universities are falling into this trap. And I would never offer a name, but I can promise you there are Christian universities who have walked away from their faith because they actually believe you can't be intelligent and a Christian at the same time. I guess they've, talking about Thomas Aquinas and St. Paul and a whole litany of other Christian thought leaders who were also very literate and well-read and, understood their times from both a secular and a spiritual sense. In this article, what it says is we should never try to separate a person's belief, for me, belief in Christ, separate that and leave it outside the gate. Don't bring it in the classroom. It's inappropriate to discuss it. And it's a denial of who you are. And we don't ask people, no matter their lifestyle or anything else, to check that at the gate. As a matter of fact, we tell them to bring it in and, tell us who you are until you say, well, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and I believe that he was Son of God and walked this earth and was crucified, died, and was resurrected to save me from my sins. And I believe that. I don't make anybody else believe it. I understand the difference, as I tell people sometimes, between a pulpit and a podium. And I'm usually behind a podium. I've never actually been. Well, I have been a few times behind the pulpit, but not many, except at Sunday school when I teach Sunday school. But the bottom line is, I get a podium at a public university. We have to be careful because this is public. We take all kinds of people, just like our nation does. Right. But right. I am not going to deny or ask students to deny their faith and their families and what they've been raised to believe. It's a way of fragmenting people and acting like there's this separation, and somehow we can put our faith aside and just focus on matters of intellect, whatever they may be.
Well, as if intellectualism is incompatible with religion, and in particular Christianity, then that is just absolutely not true. But many academics want to mock and ridicule Christians because they say, "Oh, so you believe in Santa Claus too and the Easter Bunny, right?" You know what I'm saying? That they equate believing in Christianity with superstition. Wesley, you were going to ask a question, or
Now, are you more so also? Are you also including the fact of tying scriptures into science and other areas? Or are you saying more so of what Dad's saying, that the difference between intellect and scripture? And here's an example of what I'm going to get. There's a well-known podcaster in the conservative world named Tim Pool, and I was listening to him the other day, and he's around my age. He's really, really good on the conservative issues, but and he professes to be a Christian, but he's having a hard time connecting the Bible with the conservative movement. He wants to keep them separate for the purpose of being able to possibly reach more people outside the Christian faith for the political movement. Is that kind of what I'm hearing? Are you saying that people are just leaving the Christian faith at the door altogether? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, no, it does. It's very sensible, and it's a realistic perception. I think that is how things are perceived. But the Apostle Paul, he went and reasoned with people in the marketplaces, and he never hid his faith in Christ. And he had a very, very perceptive intellect. This guy had a sharp mind. He was a student of how to think and rationality and so on. And I don't believe we have to separate these two things. And that's one thing at a public university. What grieves me is there are, and I'm going to say so-called, and this is why I'm not going to name them. There are so-called universities where they want to separate these two things, and they want to, in a sense, put their Bible in the back seat and put in contemporary philosophy in the front seat, and have that be drive the bus. And I don't think it's a good idea. As a matter of fact, it's worse than that. It's a terrible idea because it makes people believe that you should put what's in your heart and keep it separate from what's in your head. Yeah. And I don't see those things as mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, Isaac Newton, who is probably the greatest scientist that the world has ever seen, said that there was nothing, and I'm gonna mix up. I'm not gonna get this quote perfectly, but no book is more important to understanding how the world works than the Bible.
Yeah.
And I wish I could quote it word for word, but that's basically what he says. So he never ran away from his faith, and he made tremendous discoveries that describe how, in my mind, how God's creation works. And he could elaborate those things to other people who were being reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, Oral Roberts, this is a long time ago, but I'm an old man. But the fact of the matter is, Oral Roberts said one time, he was asked, you know, what do you do if people are going to come and teach science at ORU, and they maybe lean towards this sort of idea of evolution or something, you know, godless creation, call it whatever you will. And he said, well, I'll let the facts decide. And he said, from my perspective, the biblical, carefully understood and explicated, the biblical explanation is always going to carry the force because it's correct. And by the way, just because I don't understand all of it doesn't mean that it's incorrect. There's a lot of I don't understand how my car works. It's got all kinds of gadgets and stuff I don't even understand, but it works because somebody that did understand it made it and put it together.
Amen.
So I think we need to encourage students in any higher education setting not to separate their intellect from their faith life, because your faith life informs your intellect. And by the way, I think our intellect informs our faith life too. We should expect our faith life. My wife and I have been in a number of different churches been married 53 years. We've been in a number of different churches, and there's some that are more emotional than others, and some that seem more studied, and so on and so forth. I lean myself towards the studied type, the sort of, where you ask questions and you seek answers out of God's word. That's what's comfortable to me. And I may not understand a part of it at a given point in time, but I get the whole of it. I know what it is because I actually think it's without error. And that doesn't play well on most college campuses today.
Dr. Walter Wendler is our guest, president of West Texas A&M University, with their main campus there. Your main campus is in Amarillo, right?
Well, actually, it's in Canyon, which is 15 miles south of Amarillo. You never really leave Amarillo. It's a small town that, just south.
I got you. I thought you were going to say you never really leave Amarillo. It's like state of mind, or something like that.
By the way, there is some truth in that too. This West Texas is a different place to live. And it's very, very special.
Okay, one final question I have for you is what is the football season looking like for you this fall?
Well, we needed a quarterback. We lost 3 games by a grand total of 5 points. But I would have rather been on the other side of that coin and said we won 3 games by a grand total of 5 points. So it's kind of a safe place to be on the other side.
Well, I sent you a check to help with the NIL. I don't know if you got it or not there, but I was trying to help out the program. It's from one friend to another there. Okay.
Don't get me started on NIL. I'm worried about
I know. I know. All right.
It's a whole different ball game.
What's the website for the school?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
It's WTAMU.edu, and if you go to that website, you can put almost any search in, and you'll come up with all sorts of information. I know a lot of your listeners are interested in student debt, and if you were to put in there WTAMU.edu and then /student debt, an ebook that I've written, it's like 40 or 50 pages long. It'll come up telling students how to avoid over indebtedness, what to be careful of, so on and so forth. There's a lot of information on the campus website.
All right. Well, we look forward to visiting with you again sometime real soon. We hope you'll still be president of the university.
Thank you.
There.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
And don't forget, I'll send you the address on where to send that NIL.
Okay. Okay. Oh, you do that. All right. Thank you. That's Dr. Walter Wendler, and he's the president of Texas A&M, of West Texas A&M University.
If we leave right now, we could be in Amarillo by morning.
You just thought of that? You just been waiting to
I've been waiting.
That was okay. Yeah. All right. So
I've been to Amarillo
by morning.
Yeah. I actually was there. I arrived in the morning when I got there, but yeah.
So what did you go to Amarillo for?
I had a relative pass away back in 2021 in California, and some people in our family didn't want to fly out there, so we drove to California.
You drove all the way to
From
California?
here, yes.
Well, so Amarillo's maybe halfway.
Yeah. We pulled into Amarillo on the way back, and we got a hotel room.
I'm getting tired thinking about it.
We slept for like 3 or 4 hours. We took a nap in a hotel room and then got back on the road. It's an easy trip, though.
Where did you go?
Why are you smiling about that?
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Where did you go to California?
The Sacramento area.
My word!
Yeah.
I don't even know if Amarillo's halfway.
No, it's probably not. So what happened was we left on a Wednesday night, and we drove nonstop. You get up to Memphis. If you're in the southeastern U.S., you get up to Memphis, and you go on I-40, and you go west. It's the easiest road trip because literally once you get on I-40 west, that's going to take you all the way to Needles, California, to which you will then hang a right and go up.
Oh, you
California.
hang a right?
Yeah.
After 3,000 miles?
Yeah.
He remembers this very...
If you go left, you'll go towards L.A. once you cross over.
Yeah. Then you may never be heard from.
Yeah, so, but it was cool. I've been to places out west, but I've always flown, and it was the first time I've ever seen the desert, like
Everybody
Arizona
needs to
New
do
Mexico.
a great American road trip.
Well, not right. Wait until gas prices come down. You probably need to be a millionaire
y'all got
right
there
now
in time for the funeral, right?
We did. We actually drove nonstop, and we swapped out. My wife and I did in Oklahoma City, and then I got us to Arizona. My mother-in-law drove a little bit. We drove nonstop from Wednesday night to Flagstaff, Arizona. And we left on a Wednesday night. We got to Flagstaff on a Thursday afternoon.
J.J. Jasper, I'll get him to tell this story maybe Friday. I don't know. J.J. Jasper, who's on Trivia Friday, tells this story talking about swapping up drivers on a trip. This was when he was like in his late teens or early 20s or something like that. But he tells this story. He grew up in Owensboro, Kentucky, and he was his best friend. So they decided to go down to Florida to the beach.
Yeah.
You know, when you're young, you don't have a family, and you're a little bit crazy. You do stuff like that. So they just decided on a whim, hey, let's go to Florida. So to go down the beach. So he said they started driving, and his friend drove like 5 hours. I don't know. I don't remember all the details. I just remember the funny punchline of the story. So they drove from Owensboro. I think it got to Birmingham or something like that. And they pulled over the side of the road, and his friend said, "Hey, can you drive now? Because I'm getting sleepy. I'm getting tired." And JJ said, "Sure." So his buddy comes over. They swap out seats, and JJ drives like 2 miles down the road. And it pulls over and wakes him up. Wakes his buddy up. Says, "Hey, man, it's your time." And his friend had been asleep like for 5 minutes, but he didn't know.
Cat now.
But he didn't, he had no concept of how long he had been asleep. So JJ said, "Hey, man, it's your time." So that's why. Anyway,
it worked.
It worked.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he's tricked his friend into driving the whole way. Now, not necessarily safe, but you don't think about that when you're 19.
I just wonder, was the friend listening to the radio when this story was told? And he's like, I thought we were in the same place.
No, I don't think they had digital clocks in cars back in the
you could get away with a lot without cell phones back in the day.
Yeah, mid-70s.
Internet.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Tim, Fred, Wesley, and Chris. What's our next story?
Do you want to do the Mark Thiessen stuff?
Yeah, just a little bit more on China. Mark Thiessen, who is a Fox News contributor, gave us a little bit behind the scenes about China today. As we're talking about, you look at China, you look at Shanghai and Beijing, these big cities. They look modern and all of those sorts of things. But China, according to Mark Thiessen, is a country in decline. And I want you to have a listen to this assessment. Maybe things in here that you weren't aware of about China today. Cut number 7.
China is no longer a rising power. It's a risen power, and it's about to be a declining power. For 7 decades, American presidents have been managing China, almost 8, have been managing China's rise. And it's like a car on a roller coaster that's been going up and up and up, and it's about to go down precipitously. The one-child policy means that their birth rate is 0.93. 2 is replacement rate. They're less than 1 child per woman. So that means they're not producing workers for their economy, and they're going to have a demographic collapse. So that's a huge, huge problem. And as a result, their economy is going to start declining because they don't have the workers to and if you just look at the GDP growth rate, it was almost 15% 20 years ago. The last quarter, it was 1.4. So this is a country that's in decline and about to go into a very steep decline. That is much more dangerous than a rising power, and that's what Donald Trump is dealing with. Because if you're China, you know all these problems you're having. You know the purges you're having. Brian, you mentioned the ghost cities. There are only over 50 ghost cities with empty skyscrapers, empty airports, empty roads, right? And so you see that you have a window of opportunity to take Taiwan or forever hold your peace. Because your power is about to decline.
I forgot about this.
And so Donald Trump has to manage that transition.
Hey, let me ask you this, Fred. Do you know when the one-child policy started and ended in China? Because you remember back China, remember their population was just exploding all through the middle part of the 20th century, and then they instituted, the Communist Chinese government told their people, you can't have but one child. Women can't have but one child. If you do get pregnant a second time, you will be forced into an abortion. You remember this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So do you have the answer to that?
I looked it up on Britannica, and according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it began in 1980.
Okay, it began in 1980, and is it over now?
Yes, it ended in 2016, according to Britannica.
Well, the policy may be over, but the problem is, because of economic problems, and we see it in this country as well, couples aren't... If they're suffering economically, there's
other reasons why they're not.
They don't want to bring children into the world, and so that's one of the reasons.
Well, when once you get accustomed culturally to not having children, it becomes you don't have to have a forced abortion. They just don't get pregnant in the first place. Are you saying it started in 1990?
No, 1980.
Oh, it started in 1980 and ended in 2016. So you're talking 26 years.
36.
Yes, 36.
36 years. Yeah.
So 36 years of that policy.
And you've been teaching 18, 20, 30-year-olds to find other creative alternatives to entertainment and activity too.
So if you change that even now, since 16,
if you change the law,
you still got this huge gap.
In a mindset
of lack of people to take over for people who are alive today.
And unlike the United States, people aren't climbing over walls to get into China.
Right, that's true.
You don't want to be part
we've
of
had
that.
a lot of our population decline because people aren't having babies, made up by people who immigrated here to the U.S. because they want to come here.
Yes,
that made up the numbers, right? But you're talking about.
It's one thing for a culture to make you feel as if being independent and not having a family is a good thing. It's another thing for you to be coerced by the government.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what happened in China. Can you imagine? I mean, that they imposed nationally.
It was codified in the Chinese Constitution in 1982.
If you have one baby is all you get to have for the women. I can't imagine living under that.
But they're paying the price for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. We will be back momentarily with more. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
It's been proven again and again and again.
Bert Harper.
The verification of the dates, the verification of the genealogies, it puts spiritual iron in my spiritual blood to know that we can depend upon the Word of God.
Exploring the Word, weekday afternoons at 3 Central on American Family Radio. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. The topic of Iran was the focus of President Trump's trip to China, and the administration is pressing Beijing to be more active in persuading Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This comes as Iran is said to have seized another ship off the coast of the UAE. Trey Yingst has more from Tel Aviv.
Reports do indicate Iran has seized another vessel off the coast of the UAE. According to a maritime tracking group, that ship is now headed to Iranian waters. All of this comes after the Iranians accused the UAE of being directly involved in attacks against their country, and a diplomatic spat overnight that included the Israelis announcing that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made a secret visit to the UAE during the war, only to see the Emiratis deny it later. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told Fox's Sean Hannity the Chinese should play a more active role in getting Iran to change course in the Persian Gulf. As for the possibility of a negotiated settlement, Vice President J.D. Vance indicated there's been some progress in recent weeks.
The Senate Armed Services Committee held a hearing today with military leadership about the conflict with Iran as Congress considers the president's $1.5 trillion defense budget request. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper says the military has achieved key objectives.
Most notably, we degraded Iran's ability to project power outside its borders and threaten the region and threaten our interests.
Fairfax County, Virginia Commonwealth's attorney Steve Descano has faced scrutiny from the Justice Department for giving favorable deals to illegal aliens. He's answering questions from the House Judiciary Committee on Capitol Hill today. Committee Chair Jim Jordan.
He let these people out because he's given preferential treatment to illegal migrants. So you got an American citizen who commits a crime, illegal migrant commits the same crime. He will give a lesser sentence or a better plea deal to the illegal migrant, which makes absolutely no sense.
Meanwhile, another illegal alien from Mexico is accused of murdering 2 women in Texas 6 years apart. Brooke Taylor has more from Dallas.
Police say that 26-year-old Luis Benitez Gonzalez was arrested in Dallas after investigators linked him through DNA to the murders of 2 women. Investigators say that 28-year-old Alba Aviles was found dead in a car in Bastrop County in 2018, and 34-year-old Alyssa Rivera was discovered dead inside an abandoned home in Austin in 2024. Well, DNA evidence was collected in both those cases, but for years, there wasn't a match in the system because Benitez Gonzalez had never been arrested. Then in 2025, the case is finally cracked open when a woman fighting off an aggravated assault managed to grab Benitez Gonzalez's phone.
A conservative columnist says the left continues to downplay the blatant lawlessness directed at the Trump administration. More from Chad Groening.
Robert Nye is a columnist for the Washington Times. His latest column is entitled Lawlessness, Big Government, and Its Enablers. He wrote it in the wake of a recent decision by the Arlington County, Virginia prosecutor to drop criminal charges against a far-left activist who was terrorizing Trump advisor Stephen Miller and his family.
This activist and her husband handed out flyers with Miller's photograph on it, with a red line through it, and the flyer stating "Wanted for Crimes Against Humanity," along with the Miller's home address and the statement "No Nazis in Northern Virginia." This is clearly an attempt to intimidate them. It could have spurred violence. The Millers had to move to a military base for their own safety, and the Democrat prosecutor thought, oh, this is just free speech, don't worry about it.
And Knight says the Washington Post buried the story of a shootout with Secret Service near the White House last week.
As Vice President Vance's motorcade was approaching, and the Post buried it on page 20B in the second section of the paper in a short one-column piece. They thought, well, this isn't news. Yet another possible assassination attempt on the president, because when the guy was arrested, he used a profanity against the White House, in other words, against President Trump. And the Post didn't think that was news.
He says that's the problem.
The media won't report stories that are necessary to report, and they do highlight things that only the Democrats want them to cover.
I'm Chad Groening.
There's more news available online at afn.net. And download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
I'm Tim Moore from Christ in Prophecy Radio. With all the uncertainty in the world, it's good to know God's promises never change. That's why each week we examine current events through the reliable lens of Bible prophecy. Join me for Christ in Prophecy Radio, Saturdays at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. Find out what's really going on. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern on American Family Radio.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Welcome back to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildmon with Wesley, Wildmon, Fred Jackson, and now Steve Paisley Jordahl. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, before we get going, can I mention two things?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I put you on the spot, didn't I? So you got to say
No, you can't.
You can mention one thing.
One thing. Hey, real quick, there's two things that happen when I get in my truck in the morning, at lunch, in the afternoon. I said two things. There's two things I want to point out that I listen to. My Apple Car pulls up Bluetooth automatically, and the first two things that pull up in order are AFN's newscast and American Providential History. There's some other things I listen to that cycle through, but having listened to those over the last couple weeks and months, I just wanted to remind our audience that there's a 4.5-minute newscast put on by American Family News, and they have it podcast. And like I said, 4.5 minutes and they update it throughout the day. There's a morning one, there's a noon one, and there's an afternoon one. So I just encourage you, if you're wanting to know in just a couple of minutes some of the highlights of what's going on in the news, AFN does a good job. So go to afr.net /podcast. There you can download it there onto your app. Also, too, the Americans Providential History is another one. It's hosted by Steve McDowell, and it can vary from time. It can be 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 18 minutes, 30 minutes. It just depends on the topic at hand. But that podcast is not on AFR. You can only get that at afr.net, or you can get it by downloading the podcast because it varies. It's an exclusive podcast just on our website and online. It's not on. You wouldn't otherwise get it just by listening on the weekend or listening throughout the day. So those are the two podcasts that are really big, very important, very, very well done, very good information that you'll appreciate.
Absolutely. Hey, the Mississippi Department of Public Safety says I have a bunch of
sure they do
outstanding tickets.
Oh yeah.
I need to pay, or I'm going to lose my license. They give me till today. Huh?
I got the same
Why is
one.
everybody laughing?
Yeah.
You get the same thing? Are you
yeah.
going to pay yours today? You got a bunch of outstanding tickets, too?
Sure I am, Dad.
Yeah.
I want to be legal.
I think they provide a link here in the text for you to pay. It's very easy
Why
to
don't
do.
you go first?
Okay.
Why don't you go
All you got to
first?
do is give them your credit card information.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
just share that, and you'll.
You got the same thing?
Same one. You know what? Watch here. Delete and report as spam.
Okay, yeah, that's what I do.
Delete and report as spam.
All right, well, yeah. Steve, you ever got one of these?
Oh, I get them all the time. And it is interesting because they kind of know where I've been. I've been getting some. I got some after I visited Colorado Springs. I got a couple that said that I missed a toll booth in Denver. There's a toll road on the way from the airport to Colorado Springs that I would take every time I went to the airport. And they would send me the stuff that I was missing and it's plausible. I mean, I didn't, and I kind of recognized it, but they know where you've been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, all right, so hopefully I'll keep my license, my driver's license. But they gave
and
me
your money.
They gave me till.
You know what? Delete and report, and if it's actually true, they'll come find me. They'll let me know.
All right. So, what do you got, Steve?
Well, I just want to second what Wesley was saying. If you want to hear the podcast of the AFN News, the American Family News report, go to afn.net. You can get it there. And also, while you're there, you can look at all the other content we have, all the stories that we publish. There's a poll that you can take there. You can read the latest editorials that we have thought are good. The latest AFN News. Fred consistently posts good AP News and AP Videos. So all the news that we're following, you can follow too at afn.net.
All right, Steve.
I wanted to talk a little bit about this is a podcast. It's not ours, but Riley Gaines, who we know is was the swimmer who was competing against a dude and was cheated out of a bunch of medals. She has become an activist for conservative issues, specifically gender issues. And she had on her podcast a gentleman named Xavier DeRusso. He is a prominent American conservative social media influencer. He's a black guy that...
He's a what? Say all that again.
Prominent American conservative social media influencer.
Okay, I don't know what the acronym.
There's a lot of commas in there.
Anyway, go ahead.
He's a black guy that used to be BLM. He used to be part of the Black Lives Matter movement. And he said COVID broke out and he had a whole lot of time to spend where he couldn't meet with the other radicals. So he started doing some research, and it radically changed his view on things. This is what he had to say on Riley Gaines' podcast, Cut 14.
By the time that everything happened with George Floyd, I was really aghast pretty quickly on after George Floyd's death, because I just started seeing people exploiting the movement so much. And I started realizing how performative a lot of the activism was. Like, I remember I was never on the all cops are bad train. 8 of my uncles were police officers. My best friend is a police officer, and he was my best friend then too, and he was in the police academy when all of this was happening. So I knew that I wasn't against all police officers. So I thought it was weird that so many people were demonizing every single cop. And I thought it was insane to watch the looting and the rioting happening. And I remember I had created a Twitch account where I was watching these Antifa riots and the looting, and it was like these white Antifa members saying that they were stealing all of these shoes and TVs in the name of justice for reparations. It's like there's so many layers of why this just wasn't making sense to me.
Yeah, don't
Well,
look
good
too
for him.
closely. I know. You don't want to look too closely at what liberals think, because it doesn't hold up under scrutiny.
Yeah, I'm stealing a microwave as part of my effort for reparations.
Right.
I'm doing it for my black friends.
Social justice.
Oh my!
Burning down city block. That was a disgraceful time. That period in our country's last 10, 20 years. All that looting and burning down city blocks and attacking cops and all that in the name of some kind of righteous cause. Go ahead.
Yeah, we remember too, the far left, we can get a list of names if we need to, that they were having accounts that they were using to bail out the BLM rioters.
Yeah, Kamala Harris did.
Kamala Harris, yep.
Yeah.
She paid for their, in Minneapolis, she paid for some of them to get out of jail, some of the rioters.
Yeah, they also, several of them would go on the record publicly and encourage more of it.
Yeah.
So this gentleman here went on Riley Gaines to say that he was once a part of the Black Lives Matter movement, and then his eyes were opened as to what it was all about and what was going on, and he changed. Completely.
The truth of it.
Listen, the people who created that organization, Black Lives Matter, that's very. I give them 5 stars for creativity and for cleverness, because if you say I'm opposed to the Black Lives Matter organization, people say, oh, you're a racist. You're opposed to. You don't think Black Lives Matter?
From an argument standpoint, and without
from a PR standpoint, you see how that works.
Yeah.
You have to be on defensive already to say, no, wait a minute, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
So, but now it's been the Black Lives Matter organization has got into trouble on numerous times for misusing money. Some of their leaders have been caught stealing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people poured money poured into the Black Lives Matter organization to prove that they weren't. How can I prove that I'm not racist? I'll give to the BLM organization. Well, the BLM organization just sort of popped up out of nowhere after the George Floyd situation and what took place subsequent to that. It was, as I said, that's disgraceful, that whole thing. Really, all that needed to happen there, the justice played out. The gentleman, the police officer, I say justice played out. I don't want to get into all the nuances of what happened on that day with George Floyd. The fact of the matter is, the police officer had his
day in court.
And he had his knee on the guy's neck for how long? So if you look at that, you go, well, that's it. That's against.
He had a lot of. I
don't know. People say he was on fentanyl, and that's what killed him. I'm talking about George Floyd. He OD'd on fentanyl. But anyway, he had his day in court. The police officer, he was found guilty.
Derek
Chavez.
Go ahead. So anyway, my point is that we didn't need to have America burnt down and all these city blocks.
It was mostly peaceful, though.
Yeah, but that didn't need to happen because there was nothing to riot against except you could condemn the actions of that police officer with George Floyd, who had, by the way, been in trouble multiple times with the law, and he had also he was a bad dude. Okay, he was no saint. Talking about George Floyd, he also he had a terrible criminal past. Okay, so.
But back to what you were saying, BLM in 2020 alone raised $20 million off of the death of George Floyd. I'm sorry, $90 million in 2020. Right. $90 million in 1 year.
So this new organization, Black Lives Matter, pops up out of nowhere and starts raking in millions of dollars. What could go wrong there, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, the bottom line is this fella here, who was on Rod Against show, said that his eyes were open as to what was really going on with the BLM organization.
You could tell in that interview with Riley that he sincerely was wanting to. Now, we would say that there is no systematic racism that's occurring in 2026. That's what I believe. But now you could tell he felt like there were white cops beating up on black people. That's what you could tell. That's why he got involved in the BLM to begin with. But as you
learned the truth
as it was going, yeah.
Well, he was saying, I got 6 family members that are cops.
Yeah, so
I know they're black. So
we can't defund
all those black cops are not racist,
right?
Or are they?
Right.
I mean, is that what you're saying? Because and then that started the whole defund the police.
Yeah,
idiocy.
That's right.
Which he was saying he couldn't go for either. This fella here.
Right.
Somebody's got to keep law and order and be peace officers.
Yeah.
So anyway, very interesting. Next story, Steve.
All right. The U.S. House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution met yesterday, and one of the people that they talked to was a lady named Amy Meckelberg. She's founder of the RAIR Foundation, RAIR, which happens to stand for Rise Again, Ignite, and Reclaim.
I'm a member.
What's that? You're a member?
I'm a member.
Good.
Yeah.
It is opposing the Islamification of America.
Okay.
And I wanted to play you a little bit about what she told the committee. This is a little bit more than a minute long. This is what she had to say yesterday, cut 15.
Islam is a hostile, totalitarian political ideology using our freedoms to destroy us. To every non-Muslim, it offers 3 choices: convert, submit, or die. It does not stop until every court, every school, and every government on earth is under Sharia. The Muslim Brotherhood turned this imperative into a modern conquest strategy. 2 seized documents, the 1982 Project and the 1991 Explanatory Memorandum, detail their 2-front plan. Build parallel Islamic societies that reject assimilation while their faithful capture our institutions. The Brotherhood wrote the playbook. Today, every hostile Islamic regime and faction is executing it on our soil. These networks operate more than 8,000 Islamic nonprofits across America, including 650 in Texas alone. Texas and Florida are the Brotherhood's command centers. They are the clearest example of the first strategy: build massive fortresses where Muslims can live cradle to grave under full Sharia.
Yeah. And it's happening. There's the Epic City in Texas. She said Texas is one of the epicenters. They're building entire communities that they intend to have American citizens, their children, who are born here and are American citizens live their whole life under Sharia law. They're trying to set up Sharia law enclaves in the United States. We've been talking about this quite a bit on today's issues. I have, anyway.
Wasn't there a water park in Texas?
There was a water park.
recently?
It would happen to also to be named Epic. I don't believe it was outside of Dallas. I don't believe it had anything. The similarity is just coincidental, the name anyway. But they had declared a Muslim-only day, and they were told that that's not going to work, and they had to take that back.
Yep.
Yeah. What she said is correct.
Yeah.
What we just heard is factually and historically correct. Islam does not tolerate any other religion when it's able to dominate and become the majority.
And they are looking to dominate and become the majority in the United States.
Yeah, and
Or anywhere they go, yeah.
anywhere else in the world that they can
Yeah.
dominate. So that's she's correct about that. In fact, the people in some of the Muslim countries have to who are themselves a little bit more tolerant and diverse. They have to fight back against their own extremists in their own countries. So or else everything would be like in Iran, where the mullahs control.
Yes.
The mullahs being the Islamic religious leaders, they control everything in society, which is even more oppressive than, say, Egypt, for example, which is a more moderate form of Islam. Go ahead.
She brought with her a young man named Marco Hunter Lopez. He's 16 years old. He was a sophomore at Wiley High School in Wiley, Texas, and he wanted to start a Republican club, a Republican student club. And so he complied with everything that the school required. The school required 10 members at least, a teacher sponsor, and a room. They got all of that, and they were still denied to the ability to form their club because the administration said, "Oh no, you're political in nature. We can't let you do that." He had to fight. His congressional testimony said not only were they discouraged from starting the club, but once they had to start it because they were forced to, the teachers would tear down all the posters. At the same time, all of the Muslim clubs, the Islam clubs, were welcomed with open arms. The principal of the school celebrating a hijab day at least 2 years in a row, saying how wonderful it was. The school library has Qurans, but it will not carry a Bible.
Where is this?
This is in Wiley, Texas, in their school district.
Yeah.
And so he came to give this testimony. Well, how did the Democrats receive him? Well, this is...
You're talking about this student appeared before a congressional committee in Washington, D.C.?
Yesterday, yes.
To talk about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Jamie Raskin, who is one of the members of Congress, decided to
Democrat.
A Democrat, wanted to talk to this guy, and instead of examining his claims, he tried to take Mr. Hunter Lopez to the woodshed. It didn't work out so good for him, cut 16.
What Thomas Jefferson described in his famous letter to the Danbury Baptists as a wall of separation.
That was a letter, not a law.
Okay, so your position is that America is a theocracy?
You didn't let me finish my original statement, and I understand you have limited time, but what I'm saying is that, you know how I said original colonies were requiring declaration of faith to run for office. I'm not saying we have
That's why we have a First Amendment.
What I'm saying is that we do.
That's precisely why Jefferson wrote it.
We do need to acknowledge our Christian heritage in America. That's what I'm trying to.
You can acknowledge whatever heritage you want, but you can't impose an establishment of religion on other people. That's the greatness.
I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying we need to acknowledge our heritage. That's what I'm saying.
Everybody can acknowledge their own heritage. Do you agree with that?
American heritage, not just any heritage, is what I'm saying.
Oh, you don't think that you're allowed to acknowledge your Christian heritage or your Jewish heritage or your Muslim heritage?
I'm saying you members of Congress need to acknowledge American heritage.
The Christian American heritage. He just wasn't taking it from Congressman Raskin and gave back as good as he got.
What age was that young man?
He's 16 now.
Wow, that was impressive.
Yeah, very much so.
I was learning to talk in complete sentences when I was 16. Huh?
Right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Young Frank Turek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound like he's been hanging around David Barton or Stephen McDowell.
He might have been.
To me. All
Yeah.
right, our Rick Green or Walker Wildmon. Next story, Steve.
All right. Turning Point USA was supposed to be holding an event at the University of Washington tonight, and it was supposed to feature Chloe Cole, who is a lady who decided she wanted, years ago, decided she wanted to be a man, started doing the transition, went fairly far down that road and realized that she was making a mistake. And so she came back to being the woman that God created her to be. We mentioned her in our film that we put together at American Family Studios. She was supposed to speak.
You talking about In His Image?
In His Image.
Yeah, that's a movie.
Thank you. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. And she's mentioned in there. But she was going to speak at this Turning Point event. But Antifa came out, speaking of Antifa, they came out and they they decided that they were going to shut down her event. This is I have in front of me a poster that they put up, UW, University of Washington.
Why were they opposed to her speaking at University of Washington?
Because they say she's anti-trans, because she believes in...
She actually went through the whole... I know you know this, but she went through the whole thing. She actually tested it out and tried it.
Yeah.
And then figured out after the fact it was not a good idea.
Right.
So,
trying to transition from a woman to a male.
I guess what I'm saying is if anybody can speak on the topic...
Right. Yeah. I got you. So Antifa, which is a far-left group, they were opposed to...
Chloe
Cole.
Speaking about her regret for trying to transition. That's
right. And she talked about the threats that she was getting, Cut 13.
As many of you may know now, I was scheduled to speak tomorrow at an event at University of Washington hosted by TPUSA's local chapter there. I'm putting this video out because, as you may have heard, Antifa has assembled a local militia, in their own words, to shut down this event. Their actions, their explicit threats on my life, have raised this event to national attention. A level of attention our security team and the local PD are frankly unprepared for. Before Charlie Kirk's assassination, I think I would have been less careful. But the times have changed, and speaking on a university campus in 2026 can come with deadly consequences. We are postponing this event because of this reality.
Why does it seem like it's always the left-wing people who threaten or carry out violence?
It's because it's the reality.
Yeah, the so-called people who champion tolerance
right.
are the most intolerant.
Yeah.
We will not allow you to testify your life story.
Anything that doesn't line up with the far-left ideology, they oppose oftentimes with violent threats like this.
Yes.
You know, Charlie Kirk was assassinated
by
a left wing.
Yes.
A guy who subscribed to left wing ideology.
Mm-hmm.
The CEO of United what healthcare?
I got you.
United Healthcare.
United Healthcare.
The CEO of United Healthcare gunned down in Manhattan by a far lefty.
Yes.
He was celebrated for it.
Celebrated. It just seems like
there's been 14 deadly attacks from left wingers since July 13, 2024. So just in the last 2.5 years or 2 years, there's been 13, and this starts at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally shooting on Trump. Since then, there's been 13 attacks. The ICE officers, the shooting there.
Yeah, in
the
Dallas.
building in Dallas.
Yeah, so just anyway, something to pay attention to. We're out of time. My thanks to Steve, Wesley, Fred, Chris, Brent, and Cole. I don't have time to tell you all their last names. Trust me, they have
You'll
them.
come back tomorrow.
Yeah,
maybe
tomorrow.
Hey, you'll be a trivia question tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American